Alcoholics of Reddit, how/when did you recognize you had a problem? When the people I thought had a drinking problem told me how much they drank, and I drank way more than they did. Wow. Talk about wake up calls. If you are comfortable sharing, how did that feel in the moment, or was it a gradual discovery? It was definition a wake up call, and I started to reflect on it. Took a very long time till I tried to even start doing anything about it. Definition better now than I used to be, but when I backslide I take a break. I haven't given it up altogether and still have an issue with binge drinking when I do, but at least it's only maybe once a month compared to every other day. Lying in a bath with the shower going after throwing up, again and again. Looking my 2 years old in the face and saying daddy is sick, we'll play TMW, and realizing once again that I did it all to myself. Ouch. I've made it before to that point where you wonder why did I do this to myself? I have to do something about this, only to go back to drinking the moment I feel physically better. Shit's hard, man. I got to that point with opioids when I couldn't stop relapsing, and I was going through dope sickness for the 6th time in a year. It's crazy when the problems you used to justify your heavy drug use solve themselves, and you realize that the only thing at that point truly hurting your life is your drug problem and you are doing it to yourself. So happy I went to rehab and didn't relapse when I got out. Going on 7 months clean. When I realized that I was waiting for my workday to finish every day just so I could get home and drink. I was also very destructive to my life and the lives of those around me. I have been totally sober for coming up on 3 years. I quit without any programs or outside assistance. I just decided to do it. Congratulations on your sobriety. Did you find it hard? It was difficult for about a year, but at this point the smell of alcohol nauseates me. Although there are days where I wish I could just drink and forget about a crappy day. I also only have 2 friends left because my huge group of friends disappeared when I quit drinking. In one of my responses, I explained how I have 2 glasses of wine every night followed by 4 to 6 bourbons. Reddit said, guess what? You're a high functioning alcoholic. I've since pared back. It's overtime. It's when other people look at you strange and you realize you're the only one drinking to get drunk, or that I brought alcohol to a moment that didn't need alcohol and I saw that other people weren't cool with it. Work/school, BC for me every situation needed to have alcohol. I realized my life revolved around it and other people's didn't. Then the other eye-opener was when I tried to go a day without drinking. And it was the hardest thing I'd done in a long time. And almost couldn't. Realizing I really couldn't go a day was a wake-up call. It took another 2 years after that, but now I have a healthy relationship with alcohol. I hear a lot of myself in your reply. Hope you are doing well. Stop before you discover that cocaine can help you drink a shit ton more. Sober 4 years here and extremely happy. Great kids. Fab wife. Finances rolling nicely. No ducking, drink is worth losing that shit. Ever. I remember the first time I realized I really didn't have any control over it. I knew for ages that I drank a lot. I even incorporated that into my identity. Party guide average. Close bracket. This was different though. I was at uni, and I was in a student flat in the middle of campus by myself. Having been ejected from halls of residence after knifing a guy while blackout drunk. Yeah, that wasn't the moment. Weirdly, the moment was on the morning of an exam. An important one. I was terribly hungover. So to sort myself out for the exam I thought I'd have a beer to stave off the hangover and calm my nerves a bit. I remember looking out my window and watching my classmates go into the exam while I drank beer number 4. And I just could not fathom why I was not there with them. I had every intention of being in that exam. But as soon as I started drinking, I just couldn't stop. And that is a pretty good textbook example of what makes alcoholism so dangerous. 1. Somehow, you will convince yourself that this time, you will control it. Despite all evidence in the past, this time it'll be okay to just have one. 2. Once you pop, you just can't stop. It's not about how much you drink. It's about what happens when you do. Happy to say I've been clean and sober since 2nd November 2006. Have a great job, wife and little girl. and I wouldn't trade my worst sober days for my best drinking ones. Congratulations man. Reading some of your replies here. If I can be so bold as to offer a suggestion. Those two things I mentioned, not being able to stop and always starting, are the real core things to look for in yourself. If you think that's you, and it's starting to interfere with your life, go check out an AA meeting. It's free, there's coffee and biscuits, and you'll hear some stories. If you start feeling like the stories you're hearing have a lot of familiar element, you might be in the right place. Everyone drinks differently, so don't trip if the person that night is rolling out an old war story that's way worse than anything that happened to you. If you're one of us, you'll get there eventually, and it's better to get off the ride before you get there. I found I used to identify most with women because I wasn't much of a pub drinker and their stories were a lot more like mine. I wasted a lot of time looking for people who drank like me, and I accidentally found a group of people who used to drink like me and wanted to help. Anyway, look where I'm now. Wasn't a magic wand or anything to get here, but it's easier than suffering. When I was filling up an empty bottle of vodka with water so my family wouldn't notice how quickly I finished it, I avoid hard liquor now. I kept a half-consumed bottle out where they could see it, then kept a bottle hidden somewhere that I drank from. Holy shit, I used to do the same thing. Make a drink from the bottle on the counter and take shots from the bottle I had hidden. When I finished a 1 LTR bottle of whiskey in one sitting and asked for another. Drank a lot during the last few months, but went cold turkey on the 1st of December. Been hitting the gym instead, and I feel great. Lost over 8 kgs. What's weird is I quit because of COVID. Drinking alone at home isn't fun for me. Pre-COVID I partied a lot. Bars, concerts, clubs, but now that I'm isolating and only doing work, home, hiking, art and soon online school. First time going in about a decade BTW. Woo. Drinking just doesn't fit into those things for me, and I didn't notice how shitty I felt all the time. How my cognitive abilities were dwindling or any other negative side effects until after I was sober. I quit cigarettes along with it after smoking for 15 years and didn't even notice till I was cleaning and found a carton. I used to smoke a ton of weed every day, but I stopped that too. It feels amazing. Like I've got superpowers. I can remember things. I have energy and motivation. I can control my emotions better. I'm not puking every other day. I sleep normally now. I still smoke weed, but only like a bong rip or two a day compared to blunts and blunts and blunts and more blunts. Plus shots. Then a cig. Was into coke too, but just occasionally. But when I did, I'd go hard and not stop. Can you tell I get easily addicted to things? Haha. Close bracket. Anyway, I doubt anyone will read this. It being so late in the thread. But I'm proud of myself, and it helps to write it out. Edit. So when I woke up this morning and noticed my notifications blown up, I was overcome with dread, thinking I said something stupid. I thought, oh great, let's see who I pissed off. Apostrophe. What an amazing surprise to read these comments and to have received awards. I've never experienced so much support and nice words. I'm overwhelmed with joy and inspiration to keep going. I want to thank you all individually, but I've been sitting here eating everything and trying for like an hour or so. My neck hurts, and I made spaghetti that's cold AF now, but that's fine. This is probably lame AF to think, but I'll share it regardless. I imagine all you 5k who upvoted as individuals standing in a room clapping and cheering me on. As a lonely little lady trying her best, that image brings me to tears. Cause that's a huge number. I'm very grateful for the kind words, awards and support. It truly helps, and I shall look back at them when I'm feeling down. Thanks all. I'm proud of you too. I realized pretty early on that I had a problem with alcohol. Basically, as soon as I realized I'm virtually incapable of stopping after a certain point, I knew I'd never truly have a healthy relationship with alcohol. For me, it's somewhere around 5 to 6 drinks. Once I get to that point, I'll drink until either me or the bottle is gone, regardless of my previous intentions or how determined I'm to stop. On top of that, I don't actually enjoy having one drink. Subconsciously, I think. I never really viewed alcoholic beverages as beverages in so much as I viewed them as a drug. which is weird, because I actually really enjoy the taste of many types of alcoholic beverages. But I always feel let down having just one beer, or 1 GL Butterth wine, for some reason. Even if that's my intention and I only buy one beer for example, I just end up feeling somewhat groggy, which is obviously not what I enjoy about the effects of alcohol. I still drink occasionally, but I never buy alcohol or drink alone. This is so real. I was like this for a solid 4 years. And even before it got really bad I had trouble stopping after a few drinks years before that. I don't drink at all anymore. I knew it was an issue really early on too, but was endlessly able to tell myself it was something I'd fix down the road. I was still able to wake up the next day and be successful. Then it really slipped out of control. Drinking at home or alone was a big issue for me too. That social pressure in public usually meant I would have a few, but then I'd go back home for the night to have a bunch more. I've been sober for 3 years or so now. I'm not entirely sure of the date to be honest. Just the year and season I stopped drinking. I didn't want to get too entrenched in the particular date I quit, because that feels like a lot of pressure. After I had quit heroin, I started drinking super heavy by myself. I realized it had become a problem when I didn't even want to go out anymore. I wanted to stay home so I could get as hammered as possible. If I went out anywhere, I would have to sleep there or only drink a tiny bit. So I stopped going out, would drink 4 to 5 beers after work during the week. On the weekends I would drink almost a full bottle of whiskey or rum by myself. I was not content until I had trouble walking. Weekends would go to waste because I would be so hungover sat and sun morning that I couldn't do anything. And by 4 PM I would start all over again. Then I moved to Colorado. I think the combination of being somewhere new, a new job, and working super hard physical work inspired me to slow down and stop drinking. Now a few years later, and I hate drinking, I realize how bad it was for my health. Mentally, physically and spiritually. I don't even like drinking one beer. It makes me feel tired and gives me a headache usually. So happy I will never go back to drinking. It's a black hole of misery. When a friend asked me out for a drink at midday, and at the end of my 4th pint she said I just did mean a coffee, apostrophe. I've reached the point now where I struggle to get drunk, and I still want more. Luckily I only drink beer, but I traded that addiction for my cocaine addiction. Somehow cocaine was easier to quit than beer. I still can't accept that drinking 6 to 10 beers a day makes me an alcoholic, but deep down I know it's the truth. I just like to have beers after work and or when I'm playing video games. Plus I don't worry about not being able to sleep, which is a major issue if I don't. I've tried a few times to quit, but it hasn't stuck. The older I get the more I realize the day is coming though. Honestly, your sleep will be better in the long run once you're sober. I know this won't make sense, but you just know. When you wake up and plan your drinking schedule, drink such that you can get at least 6 hours of work in. 2 hours before you get into the car. Come home and drink with dinner. When you live your life as high functional as you can possibly be, and it all revolves around the next drink. It's a vicious cycle. 4 months sober. Damn. Well said. Congrats on sobriety BTW. When I kept justifying my drinking because it wasn't ruining my life or anyone else's life except my own. In 7 months sober, I didn't have a moment where I realized I was an alcoholic. It was more like a slow realization that it was consuming my free time and actually making my mental health worse. I am a high functioning alcoholic who can never just have one drink. Although I don't get crazy and do bad things when I drink, there was no limit to my drinking. I was drinking to avoid feeling, to fill a void, to deal with my trauma, to make myself cry, to make myself happy, to deal with stress, to deal with my depression and anxiety. It took me a while to realize it was only making all of my issues worse and adding to them. I hope I never drink again, because I'm doing better mentally than I ever was while I was drinking. I'm the most authentic version of myself now, and that's a gift I didn't expect, but I'm so grateful for. I can't imagine going back. I got into a verbal argument with my best friend, and I said things I'd never say to anyone. I didn't even believe in the things I was saying. I'd seen an alcoholic in my family do similar before, so I knew where it was headed if I kept drinking. So I quit then and there when I realized the things I said went too far. My experience as well. Lost my best friend of 10 years. Feels bad. I only have myself to blame. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for more videos.